Hello, Bible Thumpers. This video is going to be the first, I hope, in a series in which we examine God's Law. I'm going to call it God's Law 101. This is going to be called Hanging the Law and the Prophets, because Jesus says that on 2 commandments we can hang all the law and all the prophets. A lawyer asked Jesus a question to tempt him, and he said, "Which is the greatest commandment in the law?" Jesus said, "Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like unto it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. And on these 2 commandments hang all the law and the prophets." Now, when we examine this verse, it's very important to understand who was asking Jesus this question. And it was the lawyer. What do lawyers do? Lawyers examine the law. That's their job, to know it, either for prosecution or for defense. There's all sorts of different types of lawyers, and they look at the law from all different types of perspective, and they look at all different laws. This was a lawyer, so he knew the law. To fully understand if all the commandments can hang on 2 commandments, let's read them. God spoke all of these words, saying, "I am the Lord thy God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. You shall have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water underneath the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, unto the 3rd and 4th generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day, to keep it holy. 6 days thou shalt labor and do all thy work, but the 7th is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God, and in it you shall not do any work, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your maidservant, nor your manservant, nor your cattle, your stranger that is within your gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven, earth, the sea, and all that is in them, and he rested on the 7th day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day, and he hallowed it. Honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long upon the land which the Lord your God gives you. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. So, there's the commandments. All of them have to fit under loving God with all your heart, soul, and mind, and loving your neighbor as yourself. How do we love God? With all our heart, all our mind, all our soul. That's 3 different sayings. Plus, we have to love other people as we love ourselves. So that's 4 things we have to do. And all the other laws will hang on them. I really wanted to know the answer to this. And I started by asking myself, well, when do I feel loved? Usually, I feel loved when people remember me. And I know that people feel good when I remember them. It's always, I think, really nice to acknowledge that somebody's done something good for you if they have. A lot of times, I try to show my husband that I love him by not putting food in, not cooking him food that he doesn't like. I have people in my life that I really, really don't like, myself personally, and when my husband talks to them, I get kind of upset, and I feel like maybe he doesn't love me, even though that's not true. But that would be something if somebody didn't like me, I wouldn't want my family talking to them. Or if somebody did something that was totally against everything I believe in, I don't want my kids hanging out with them. Remembering people's birthdays, I found that over time this is incredibly important to people, and it shows them that you really love them. When someone remembers my name, I have an odd name and I have an odd spelling, and I appreciate it when people remember how to do it. The other thing, I really feel loved when people talk to me. it's nice to have somebody call you and chat with you a little bit. So I was thinking about all that, and I thought, well, how does that fit into loving God with my heart, soul, and mind? So I took the first 6 commandments I found here, but I think a lot of times we combine them. We must combine having no other gods and not making images and not bowing ourselves down to other gods. Well, first of all, I went through and I asked myself, well, how is having no other gods beside God or before God? How is that? And that's really a heart issue. If my husband's loving on another girl, thinking about another girl, that goes down to his heart. Having no graven images of created things, that's really important because our God is the creator and he's unseen. And so to create something in his image really doesn't give him any glory. We need to focus on worshiping and talking to the creator and not focusing our attention on the creations. I was thinking that bowing and serving, that's a conscious decision, and it comes down to a heart issue. Taking the name of the Lord in vain, I think that really goes down to the soul issue, because God says that you won't be held guiltless if you take the name of the Lord in vain. Remembering the Sabbath, because God uses terminology like remember, that tells me that it's something I need to keep in the forefront of my mind. So I think that by observing the Sabbath, that's really showing God that I love him with my mind. Honoring my parents, I've heard it taught that honoring your parents is honoring other people and treating your neighbor as yourself, but I think it's a soul thing myself, because God says that it'll be well with you and you'll live long upon the earth. So I think it really goes down to some of those things. And as we can see, it's the basic stuff, like I want you to remember my special days. I want you to use my name. I don't want you to talk to people that I don't like or do stuff with people I don't like. I want you to remember who I am. So then I looked at the second half of the commandments, and thou shalt not kill, and thou shalt not commit adultery. Both of those, I believe, are soul offenses. Not only should we not kill each other if we want to treat each other nicely, or commit adultery on our spouses, but killing people comes with a curse. I think even if it was on accident, you still see that person's face in your head every day. And committing adultery invokes a curse. Also, when David and Bathsheba committed adultery, they lost their child. So those things both disrupt your soul. Stealing and lying, you can control both those things with having a clean mind. The laundry's done. And coveting your neighbor's items, that really is a heart issue. So every single commandment does in fact fit underneath loving God with all your heart, soul, and mind, and loving your neighbor as yourself. If we take a closer look at these, we realize that not only is God giving us commandments or rules for ourselves to live nice lives and conduct ourselves in a wise manner, but he's also giving us foundations of a nation. And every nation has a God. Every freaking football team has a mascot, for Christ's sakes. That's the same thing. And every nation has rules for observing and worshiping that God. Every nation has national holidays. Every nation has rules of conduct, like how you're going to treat your babies or your parents, and no killing. Or like in our nation, like we park on certain sides of the street necessarily, or we regard fences as property lines, and those such of things. So rules of conduct, we have marriage laws are in there. Don't steal somebody else's wife, don't steal somebody else's things. So throughout the entire law after that, I was looking at it and I started to see that God revisits each one of these things throughout the entire 5 books of the Bible, and it's very interesting. 5 books of the Torah, that's what I meant to say. first 5 books of our Bible. So, our own society, we have marriage laws, property laws, laws of illegal worship. I mean, if you think about it, we cannot just, your neighbor can't come over and take your kid, just burn them on his front lawn. That is not allowed. But back in Bible days, it was. So, even our own society, we have laws of illegal worship and laws of legal worship. Most people in our country are allowed to go to church on Sunday if they would like to. We have national holidays. We're told not to work on Labor Day, on Veterans Day, on Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter. We have national holidays. And we never, ever think twice about it. And if right now at this current time, I mean, a lot of these laws are being done away with, and some people are really unhappy about it. Why? Because they really, really, really don't want to live in a lawless society. But when we read the Bible, that's what a lot of people really want us to believe. By the time we get to the end, it's like God's done away with all of the laws that He put there, and we're just going to live lawlessly. But nobody, I think, would consider heaven lawless. The law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul. Testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple. Go back, people. Read your Bibles. Have a great day.